You don't call them Sir Cryptids. You don't call them like
Sorry.
Sir Cryptids or Lord Cryptid. But like, all right. So just cryptids. All right.
We should. You're right. I don't know why we don't, but
Right. These cryptids are special.
yeah, they're just cryptids as well. They're just
All right.
cryptids. I know. Boring. But obviously in the UK, we've got Nessie is the most famous.
Famous.
I think Nessie's probably, other than Bigfoot, is probably people
Oh,
that
yeah.
are not interested in cryptids and stuff. I think Nessie is like most people know about the Loch Ness monster.
Yeah.
And obviously Bigfoot as well.
Do you have
yeah,
Bigfoots in the United Kingdom?
well, I've talked to people that claim to have seen them in the UK.
Really?
I feel like for me personally, and especially in like a lot seem to happen, be sighted in Scotland and places like that. For me personally, at the moment, my opinion changes every day.
Right.
But at the moment, I feel like if they're here in the UK, and I've talked to a lot of people that have seen them, I feel like it's more of a supernatural element if they're here in the UK.
Yeah. No. You keep pulling that thread, brother, because you're absolutely right about that. So I've been, during my journey here, I was educated with the Bigfoots, that there's 11 types of Bigfoots, right? And the first one would, depending on their characteristics in North America, when you get higher up towards Alaska and on especially the west coast of Canada, they're much, much larger. And in the Americas, when you head south and you get down towards Louisiana, they get a little bit smaller, but they get meaner. And there's 3-toed variants and these 5-toed variants. But one thing that's very specific about Alaskan Bigfoots is that there always are either massive sightings of orbs prior to or after, right? And there's this one story. This guy from Alaska, was him and his wife, they were camping. And they weren't in really a remote place. It was like a designated like camping area, right? It's not like they're out there in the outback or the woods or anything. And he said he watched 3 orbs drifting through the trees. He was sitting around his camper outside on a couple lawn chairs with the fire. And he's like, next thing he knew, there was 3 Bigfoot standing there. They were just there, right? And he was like, okay. He says he didn't get scared. He says, that they were easily 8-9 feet tall because he was like 6'5". He says, I didn't even get out of my chair. They had some type of like non-verbal communication with their eyes, and they left like that. They just orbed out and left, man. It's really good, man. It's a really good story on that. And and it's also, I've heard people tell me stories. Drew, on the Cryptid Warfare podcast, he had a lady, I want to say that she was from somewhere out there, Arkansas, or I'm getting it wrong, Oregon. She said the same thing. Her husband was seeing Bigfoots and orbs as well at the same time. Anyways, so yeah, okay, well, that's good. All right, man. So got a little Bigfoot action over there.
Yeah, Bigfoot, Dogman. I mean, there seems to be. We've got quite a lot of legends and lore, cryptids. Obviously, we got the fairies and stuff like that as well, yeah. which people see. So yeah, man, we've got a lot over here too.
So yeah, so I'm really big, and I've been reading this book over here. It's the 54 Apocryphae of the books that were taken out of the Bible, and the Book of Enoch was in there. And in the Book of Enoch, I don't know if you're familiar with it, there's a chapter called the Book of Giants. And in the Book of Giants, it basically says that the Watchers, when they came down, they created the Fae, right? So all the fairies and the centaurs and all this other stuff that you see or that you hear that's going on, those were real. So I mean, and we know that the Great Flood did happen, and the remnants of those things did survive. Yeah, and so yeah, man. Mm-hmm. So you got the fairies over there. And another thing too that I read a really good. You said a lot of activity goes on in the north. That's where Scotland's at, right? Up in that area. I read a theory that I'm still trying to get more research on before I do a podcast on it, is that the real reason why they built Hadrian's Wall, and for people who don't know what Hadrian's Wall is that the Romans built a wall. Maybe it was Emperor Hadrian. You can help me out. Can you explain that to me a little bit, Tommy?
I'm not too sure, man.
So I know that.
I should know about that.
So they built the wall, right, called Hadrian's Wall, right? And people
Yeah.
said that
Hadrian's-
they built the wall because the Romans couldn't conquer that northern part of the island. And people recently have come to say that, okay, so the Romans can conquer everything else, but they can't get the last half of like this island. And the reason why they're saying that is that there was supposedly, they built Hadrian's Wall because in the northern part of England there was a race of men with dog heads, and there are several, and these were fierce, vicious warriors, right? And if you go and look, there are several, especially in English art, several depictions of knights killing men with dog heads, and dog-headed men eating the people, right?
Subscribe now and turn on the notifications to join us on this extraordinary journey into the unknown.